On March 7, 1917, popular music changed forever with the release of the first jazz recording by the five-piece original Dixieland Jazz Band, with sales figures of 250,000 copies sold. For the first time in music history, the phonograph would play a direct role in the evolution of the music genre, as jazz music progressed throughout the remainder of the 20th century. One day later, on March 8th, revolution broke out in Russia that would last until November 8th. Russia became the first of four monarchies to fall as a result of World War I, with the abdication of Tsar Nicholas II and the culmination of Vladimir Lenin and the communists taking over the country. On January 30th, 1917, the original Dixieland Jazz Band, newly arrived in New York City a few short weeks earlier, were invited by the Columbia label to make the first recordings of jazz. However, the two recordings made that day remained unissued until May 1917, when the Victor label's release of the same band became a hit. The two songs they waxed that day were jazz renditions of two popular 1917 Tin Pan Alley songs, Indiana and the flip side, Darktown Strutter's Ball. Nearly 1 month later, on February 26, 1917, the original Dixieland Jazz Band were at the Victor Talking Machine studios to wax 2 recordings during that day's session. The 78 RPM record, released less than 2 weeks later, featured the band's original compositions, Dixieland Jazz Band One Step on the A side and Livery Stable Blues on the B side, selling for 75 cents each. Unfortunately, the band remained out of the recording studios for most of 1917 due to a court case involving authorship over the publication of Livery Stable Blues. Nevertheless, Livery Stable Blues became the first jazz recording to reach the record charts, peaking at the number 4 position.
man the other day, and let me tell you they can play in such a funny meter that your feet are gonna make your body sway. I heard them down in New Orleans, they play a rag called pork and beans. Say you can't get enough of that raggy stuff, although I don't know what it means. Everybody loves a jazz band. Everybody loves a jazz band. They play a classy tune, you will croon. They make you think of Alabama. And when you hear the loving slide moan on the ever-loving trombone, you'll get right on your feet and holler out repeat. Oh, the jazz band can be beat. Everybody loves a jazz band. Everybody loves a jazz band. They play a classy tune, you will croon. They make you think of Alabama. And when you hear the loving slide moan on the ever-loving trombone, you'll get right on your feet and holler out repeat. Oh, the jazz band can be beat. They got a funny clarinet, and there's a man that plays cornet in such a funny manner. The piano has to show a lot of pep. In every big town cabaret, they find a place where they can play. And if you'll take a chance, you will want to dance right through the night till break of day. Say, Mr. Piano Man, what is all this jazz I hear everybody talk about? Tickle them ivories and show me some. Man, I don't wonder everybody loves a jazz band. Everybody loves a jazz band. They play a classy tune, you will croon. They make you think of Alabama. And when you hear the loving slide moan on the ever-loving trombone, you'll get right on your feet and holler out repeat. Oh, the jazz band can be beat. Hot dog, you gotta go. Some jazz.
In 1911, Gene Green's Columbia recording of King of the Bungaloos, the first recorded example of scat singing, became a number 6 record hit. 6 years later, Green remade the song for the Victor label, of which is featured here.
I just received a cable dispatch from my ancestral home. It tells me I'm the great Gazoo, successor to the throne. My throne will be a bungalow away up in the trees, where I'll be the ruling monarch over all. My slaves will be gorillas, apes, monks, and chimpanzees, who will be ever ready at my call. Well, I will be that King Gazoo, the ruler high on my bungalow. And when I ride across the mighty Nile on that royal crocodile, when on the throne I'll take my stand, then I'll be a mighty man. I'll be that Zuku, Muku Grand, and the king of the bungalow. My chariot will be of gold with a zebra for my steed. My tandem will be lions bold, away up in the lead. The streets all paved with ivory and precious sparkling stones, and 97 wives to call my own. An elephant for a poster, 'cause he can pack a trunk, and the tiger for my footstool on my ever-loving throne. Well, I will be Khadija be the king of Zook-a-dook-a-dook-a-dook-a-dook-a-dook-a-high on the bungaloo-a-dook-a-doo. When the rag-a-died across the mighty, rag-a-dial on the rag-a-dial, the rag-a-dock-a-dock-a-dial, went on the folk-a-doon, the thick-a-tag-a-rag-a-dan, then the beak-a-dee, the mag-a-didy-mag-a-dan, the be the Zook-a-dook-a-dook-a-dook-a-dook-a grand, king of the bungaloo-a-dook-a-dook-a-doo. I will be the king of Zoo, and the eat the papa-dilly, and then the rooster had a fight, and the rooster jump out of sight. Oh, mine, give me a piece of pie, king of the bungaloo-a-dook-a-dook-a-doo.
Clarinetist Wilbur Sweatman, who had made the first recording of Scott Joplin's Maple Leaf Rag in 1903, which is now lost, made some jazz recordings with the ragtime flavor in April of 1917 for the American branch of the French Pathé label with a small group, including A Bag of Rags. popularity of the original Dixieland jazz bands Victor and Columbia recordings, new jazz bands began cropping up all over the United States. The Frisco Jazz Band, formed in New York City, recorded both cylinders and discs for Thomas Edison's record label, among them Pazzo.
every kind of band. But there is one that comes from Dixieland. You'll hear them very soon. They play all out of tune, and I never heard such music played before. You and no one else I know has. Crazy harmony, lazy melody, and they call it jazz. Say what you will, you can't keep still while they're playing. You can't resist, you got to twist while you're swaying. Hear that trombone with that peculiar moaning, that saxophone with that peculiar groaning. They're playing songs, just hear that drum. Don't you think that music's right? Something they do I never knew, just makes me feel oh so good that I can throw myself away. These tunes give me the jazz when they play that razzmatazz. I'm gone when I hear that jazz band play. Say what you will, you can't keep still while they're playing. You can't resist, you got to twist while you're swaying. Hear that trombone with that peculiar moaning, that saxophone with that peculiar groaning. They're playing songs, just hear that drum, don't you think that music's right? Something they do I never knew, just makes me feel oh so good that I can throw myself away. These give me the jazz when they play that razzmatazz. I'm gone when I hear that jazz band play.
By the summer of 1917, jazz music had become a national music craze, and Tin Pan Alley's songwriters were quick to churn out subject songs about the new music. Among those many publications included Irving Berlin's Mr. Jazz himself, sung here by vaudeville performer Irving Kaufman. In the 1920s, Kaufman would become the busiest recording session vocalist, singing with most of all the major jazz bands and performers during that decade.
I know a certain young fellow who's filling people with joy. How would you like to say hello to this remarkable boy? Everyone's talking about him. He's been the topic for days. He's just a winsome gent with an instrument that plays. I'd like to have you meet and shake hands with Mr. Jazz himself. He took the saxophone from off the shelf, and when you hear him play, you'll say that he's been taking lessons up in heaven. That dreamy moan is his own originality. He knows a strange sort of change in a minor key. I don't know how he does it, but when he starts to play the blues, he's like a messenger of happy news. No one else could ever do it as my friend Mr. Jazz. I never cared about his chords, they never cared about me. But when I listened to his chords, we both agreed to agree. He's not a Wagner or Verdi, he's not a classy highbrow. He's just a boy who has put the joy in jazz, and now shake hands with Mr. Jazz himself. He took the saxophone from off the shelf, and when you hear him play, you'll say that he's been taking lessons up in heaven. That dreamy moan is his own originality. He knows a strange sort of change in a minor key. I don't know how he does it, but when he starts to play the blues, he's like a messenger of happy news. No one else could ever do it as my friend Mr. Jazz.
how he does it, but when he starts to play the blues, he's like a messenger of happy news. No one else could ever do it as my friend Mr. Jazz.
In September 1917, the writer of the Memphis Blues, W.C. Handy, made his first recordings for the Columbia label with his Orchestra of Memphis. The record of that jazz dance, backed with Livery Stable Blues, sold very well, with Livery Stable Blues becoming a number 7 hit record. Dean Green, who had made the first recording of scat singing, saw his popularity wane by the time 1917 drew to a close. During November of that year, Green recorded a Tin Pan Alley homage song to 2 years of change in music, the second wave of ragtime's popularity in 1911, and the first jazz recordings of 1917. Alexander's Got a Jazz Band Now, musically linking the past with the future.
When I used to say, oh my honey, we would go and listen every day to the leader man, the ragged leader man. Alexander is the leader still, but his band is new. You love to step to it, there's lots of step to it. It will be a treat for you. Come on in here, come on in here. For Alexander's got a jazz band now. Come on in here, come on in here. For Alexander sure knows how. Oh, there's a moan and a groan to the old trombone. It harmonizes with the saxophone. And the hum of the drum keeps saying, a-rattity-tat, a-rattity-tat, a-rattity-tat. You mustn't lose the wicked blues. The little fellow at the piano plays. And in your ear, you're going to hear the clarinet for days and days. So if you like the Alexander Band of Harmony, you better take a little tip from me. Come on in here, come on in here. For Alexander's got a jazz band now. Across the street from Alexander's stand, Billy Sunday, he made his money. Once when he was preaching to his band, they began to hear ragged music where the congregation laid their Bibles down as they left the tent. They started dragging it, and they hollered as they went. Come on and here, come on and here, for Alexander's got a jazz band now. Come on and here, come on and here, for Alexander sure knows how. Oh, there's a moan and a groan to the old trombone. You mustn't lose the wicked blues. The little fellow at the piano plays. And in your ear, you're going to hear the clarinet for days and days. So if you like the Alexander Brand of Harmony, you better take a little tip from me. Come on and here, come on and here, for Alexander's got a jazz band now.
In 1916, a Victor talking machine music scout paid a visit to a cafe in Iberville Street, New Orleans.
What do you call that music?
Well, that's the kind of a swinging music.
Swinging music, huh? What's the name of your band?
Dixieland Jazz Band.
With their agent's report urging a trial recording, the Victor Company pays transportation, brings the Dixieland Band to its New York studios.
Okay, boys, get ready.
First selections, the Dixieland's own compositions become popular overnight and put a new word, jazz, into the nation's vocabulary. The band becomes a top-notch Broadway attraction. But when every small orchestra calls itself a jazz band, the Dixieland Band sinks into obscurity as the name jazz becomes synonymous with cheap music.
That's swing music if I ever heard it.
Shrewd Victor executives seek out Dixieland's old-time leader, Nick LaRocca in New Orleans. Convince him of a likely market for new records if he can reassemble his band. Hunting out his scattered bandsmen, LaRocca finds his trombonist, Eddie Edwards, working in a New York Y. His drummer, Sbarbaro, in a repair shop. Locates clarinetist Shields in a Bible house. Pianist Russell Robinson is induced to leave radio, rejoin the old team for its comeback. 10 years apart and out of practice, they rehearse for weeks on end. Not until early in 1937 does the New Orleans troupe get its hearing.
Thank you.
From an old friend, radio's Ken Murray, comes a single appearance with him in Boston.
They have chosen as their first number to give you their own famous Tiger Egg. Here they are. 1, 2.